Hi guys, this is Wiffleball News, and today this is a Grand Slam pre-ranking show for you viewers who don't know what that is. This is a set of Wiffleball tournaments, and then all add up to standings at the end of the Wiffleball season. We have HD Classic, Hometown Cup, WiffleHawks, and finishing it off is a Peacefest Classic. And what we got here is our top 10 rankings from pretty much the top 100 teams in Northern Indiana.
So pre-rankings and predictions. So let's get right into it. Number 10.
Let's start off. We got at number 10 the Mallards. The Mallards, they have a ton of experience in wiffleball.
They do.
They compete in almost every tournament around here. The only problem I think they're missing is the talent, to be honest.
Yeah, I feel like they know what they're doing, but they just don't really know how to execute that well. Obviously, they have good hitters and Jay Thompson, Nate Hansen, but I think the athleticism is lacking there, and yeah, but they're still a solid team nonetheless, obviously being ranked in the top 10 here.
Yeah, they're right on the verge from, the 10, 11, 12. So, I mean, that ain't the ones. They could have broke it. I mean, it's just a toss-up between these 10, 11, 12 teams. So now we're going to move on to number 9. Number 9, we have YTS. This team always shows up to hit. The only problem I have with them is their defense is really consistent.
Yeah, the defense is inconsistent. The hitting is always there. I feel like they've got a lot of athletes that can hit the ball over the fence, but I feel like defense, they make one or two errors that can cost them a lot. If they get their defense together, they could be a team you do not want to play. They could definitely be if they're in top 5, top 3, but the defense, I think, holds them back.
Yep. Just like YTS, at this number 8 spot, we got Grandmother's Quilt, another great hitting team, and just like YTS, like I said, the defense, it's really not there. It hasn't been there for a while, and I think that's what is holding them back. They won HCSA, but I think after that, they just slowly went downhill. Yeah, I mean...
Yeah, like Griffin said, they won the 2015 HDSA tournament last year, but their defense, I think, holds them back. They have great hitters. I think they're just almost inconsistent on defense, yeah.
All right, we're going to move on to number 7 here. We have the Warsaw Whitecats. And unlike the past two teams, defense isn't their problem as much as it is hitting. Their hitting isn't always there, and just an overall inconsistent team for me.
Yeah, I think they're inconsistent on both ends, but hitting's more of an issue than defense. They don't really have a lot of power. They only hit home runs here or there. I think things just kind of have to go in their favor for them to do anything good. But things did go in their favor last year at WiffleHawks because they won the 35-team tournament. But they can be great, obviously, but I think if they're not on, it could be a bad day in Warsaw.
Yeah, ranked at number 7, I could see this team finishing a top 5. They play great this year, but I mean, if you come back to reality,
15.
I think
it's a big margin for them.
Yeah. We're gonna move on to number 6 here, and we have the Muffs. Just like Warsaw, it's really just a big lack of hitting for me. Sometimes, I mean, wiffleball's a hitting sport, and if you're not gonna be able to hit, you're not gonna be able to beat the best teams.
Hitting is the game. Other sports that say defense wins championships. For me, in wiffleball, it's hitting. Matt Surge, obviously a great player for them, but he can only do so much. They got their hitting together. They could be a team you wouldn't want to mess with. But
just like Warsaw, this could be a top 5 team, but just like you said, this team couldn't even be. This could be a bottom 15, bottom even 20 team for me. So yeah, we're gonna move on. The Ranger Panthers.
Very young and inexperienced team for me. I think that's the only thing that holds them back. Last year they beat Grandmother's Quilt in Home Run or Bust, so those were some big wins for them. But for me, I think they're inexperienced and they're inconsistent, and I think that's why that holds them back from being a top 1 or 2 team. We've got them at 5. I could see them finishing 10, or I could see them finishing 1. It just depends how they play.
Just like you said, they came out and played against Grandmother's Quilt. I mean, Grandmother's Quilt's a solid hitting team, and they out-hit them. There was no defense in that game, and when you're out-hitting one of the best hitting teams, you're obviously doing something right. But just like inconsistency, they come out, they lose 5-1 to the Newts. You have to be a consistent team if you want to be a good top 5, top 3 wiffleball team.
Agreed.
All right, we're gonna move on to number 4 here, and we have the Colt West Warriors. This is one of the best hitting teams in wiffleball, if not the best. Like he said earlier, they're
3-time Hometown Cup champs in a row, back to back to back. They've won 24 straight games at the new Carlisle Hometown days. But I think their defense is the only thing that's an issue, and it's not really that big of an issue. But when we're talking top 3 or 4 teams, I think that's their biggest weakness. But it's not an overall huge weakness. If they play perfect defense, nobody could beat them, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think if you look at the top 5 teams, top 10 teams, this is easily the best hitting team. But when it comes to defense, they're in that YTS grandmother's quilt category. It's going to hold them back. If they play defense, I see them number 1. If they don't, I still think they're going to be a top 5 team just because how good their offense is. It's really unstoppable. All right, we're going to move on to number 3 here. We got the new Carlisle Newts. They have the MVP from the ORWBL, Noah Shale. The only surprising thing we saw in 2015 was kind of a decline. No tourney wins in Peacefest, 1-2 in pool play, losing to a team that played in their first tournament of the year. So just an interesting end of the season for the Newts, and I'm just pretty skeptical of how they're going to play in 2016.
Yeah, obviously a great team. They got a big history, a lot of championships in New Carlisle. Noah Shale, like you mentioned, a very good young talent who is scary good. But no tournament wins last year. If they don't really get a tournament win this year, it could be bad for New Carlisle. Should put them on the downhill. We have them at 3, but it could go anyway for them.
It's either way.
Yeah.
I could see them finishing, 8, 7. I could see them obviously finishing number 1 if they come up to play. They got the best player, one of the best players in the league. So, I mean, it's either or for them. We're gonna move on to number 2 here. We have the Maple City Magic. Just kind of like the Newts, they didn't win any tournaments in 2015, but just because you don't win a tournament isn't going to stop you from being a top 5 team. Maple City Magic, they have Alex Friedman, but their problem with me, or the problem for me with them, is they don't come up in big games. Hometown Cup, lost to Colt West, obviously not a bad loss, but if you're playing good teams and you want to be a good team, you got to beat the good teams. Lost to Grandmother's Quilt too in Peacefest, so I mean, it's just really about being consistent for most of these teams and beating the other good teams.
Yeah, like Griffin said, I think it's like you gotta beat the best if you want to be the best, and they haven't really done that for me. We do have them at 2, but I don't know. It's Maple City, I think, can control their own destiny. If they want to be the best team, they definitely can. They got the talent to do it.
And we're going to move on to number 1. The number 1 team in 2015, we have the number 1 in 2016 too. We have the clutch players. Just like it says in their name, they're clutch. They might have a bad pool play game, or pool play in general, but when it comes to the bracket, it doesn't matter. They went 2-2 in Hometown Cup pool play. 6th seed in the bracket, which is obviously very low for the number 1 team. They come out, they go to Migley, and that says a lot about clutch to come out when Peacefest and just things like that. That's why I think they're the best.
Yeah, and I don't think they finished below not making the semifinals last year. They were always in the top 4 every tournament, and that adds up in points. That's why they ended up finishing number 1 in the Grand Slam. Obviously, you have great talent like Andy Saratsky and Scott Bartley, but yeah, clutch is a really good team. I think they can go as far as they want.
I mean, yeah, I see this team finishing 1 if I had to pick someone, but I mean, the lowest I see this team finishing is 3. I mean, I really don't see them finishing any lower than that because they're just so consistent. You never see them finishing in the Elite 8 or Sweet 16. They're always finishing semis or winning championships. So yeah, that's all for it this week, guys. We're going to be back with some ORWBL shows and HDSA pool play breakdown, stuff like that.
Yeah, so don't forget to subscribe for more content below. Also, I'll put the link of our Twitter in the description below, as well as a link to all the websites and Twitters you need to know for the Grand Slam for all these 4 tournaments. Just keep watching, guys. Tell your friends about Wiffleball news, and thanks for watching. See you later.
Have a good one.